Implementation delays, technical glitches, reluctant states and a failed pilot. The rollout of e-way bills under the goods and services tax regime has been anything but smooth. In spite of it all, e-way bills are now being used both for interstate and intrastate movement of goods. While the government has declared the rollout a success, transporters on the ground have a different story to tell. One that confuses error with evasion, brings with it liability for transporters and no respite from corruption.
The government's GST Tech Twitter timeline is abuzz with e-way bill statistics. As of June 23rd, more than 10 crore e-way bills have been generated, with Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Haryana leading the way. But numbers hardly give the full picture. The first missing piece? The error versus evasion problem, as Abhishek Gupta, Managing Director of Prakash Parcel Services, puts it.
On the ground, there are still a lot of teething, I wouldn't call it teething now because it's 2.5 months, but there are some issues which are not getting addressed for reasons which are probably known to the department. They aren't able to address them well or find a solution. And one of the major ones is the errors that happen while preparing e-way bills, which is something which is not getting addressed well. And they're not able to take that point and correct it, for which vehicles get detained on the way. Errors are found in the e-way bill, though there's no evasion that's happening, but there's still an error component for which there are penalties levied, vehicles get delayed, and then there are all sorts of legal issues that sort of start off.
Okay, so what sort of errors are you referring to? Because if I understand it correctly, the moment from the point of the starting of the goods is where this e-way bill gets generated. Are there details that you as a transporter have to fill, perhaps where the errors are cropping up?
Yeah, so basically the transporter is supposed to fill the part B of the e-way bill, which basically is the vehicle number and any subsequent change of vehicle numbers in transit due to transshipments or any changeover of the vehicle. So that's a process which transporters need to do, and that's an area where the transporters aren't very competent because they haven't worked in this online environment. So that's where the errors happen. Work happens a lot of times in middle of the night. Trucks get transshipped at say 11, 12 o'clock in the night. You don't find a cyber cafe to go to, or if you're at the port, where do you go and change the vehicle number? So all those things are something which people are trying to cope with, and then there are possibilities of errors which happen, and then on the highways the vehicle gets detained, considering it as an evasion, which is actually not an evasion.
Okay, give me a flavor of what sort of errors you're talking about and what sort of questions get asked from the department.
So basically the vehicle number being entered wrong is one of the major issues. A human error is what I'm talking about, human errors happening. And then the department person, when he stops the vehicle, he doubts whether this material is genuinely sold and this is the right number of the vehicle. They don't believe in errors. As per them, it should be the same number as per the vehicle on the road. So that's an area which is concern, and it's not been able to get addressed yet.
The transport industry works with several middlemen: truck driver, truck owner, broker and the transport company. Gupta said that this can complicate things. Let's say transporter X loads a truck with number 1234 and gives it the e-way bill and invoice. The truck broker decides to get more material from transporter Y at the same loading point and clubs both sets of materials in a bigger vehicle, let's call it truck 2, to increase his revenue. In case the truck 2 broker doesn't inform the transporters X and Y that their material is clubbed in one consignment, the e-way bill will not be updated. If it is not updated, the vehicle can be intercepted. Trucks carrying goods meant to be unloaded at different destinations has also become problematic. For instance, transporter X receives material in Bhiwandi for Guwahati with the e-way bill and invoice. X sends the material from Bhiwandi up to Nagpur warehouse with material meant for Nagpur. From Nagpur, the material is sent in another truck with other material up to Jamshedpur. From Jamshedpur, it is sent to Kolkata and from there to Guwahati. If in any of these transshipments, the vehicle number is not updated for any one consignment, the entire vehicle can be detained.
How do you expect the department should address it? Because if the goods that are getting transported in a certain vehicle and the vehicle number is not matching what's written on that form that you're saying, what should the department do in the middle of the road to ensure that it's not evasion and it's a genuine human error that has happened?
So one solution that our association has given the department is that rely on the transporter's document. So the transporter maintains a unique document as well. So you can hold the transporter responsible and verify with him that how many times has he moved this consignment. If his
But the
document
idea is
unique.
to maintain this. The idea is to maintain all this information in a centralized way. What you are suggesting is outside of that
No, it
system?
can be done in the system.
Okay.
So they can have the provision very much in the system to map the transporter's document number, have it serially controlled so that there is no duplicacy of that number.
Since the onus of updating the vehicle number is on the transporters, the liability of penalty in case of any error falls on them as well. Jitendra Parekh of Special Chem Carriers explained the second piece of the e-way bills picture.
See, in e-way bill there are two parts. One is part A and the other is part B. Part A, party will fulfill the part A, and in case of part B, it's a transporter's responsibility to check at least. In full truckload, there are no issues. Party will fill part B, they will put our vehicle number and everything. But in case of parcel booking and changeover, like
Where there are several companies' goods that you are carrying.
yeah, we are
Okay.
carrying. So during that, we have to update part B. That's very big. You can say it's our responsibility. And if we have some mistake, we are doing some mistake, then penalty is very high. So it's
And you
we have to be
are
very
you have
careful
to
about
bear
that.
that penalty now?
Yes. As a transporter, if it is my mistake, then I have to bear that penalty.
Okay, which earlier wasn't the case?
No, never.
What used to happen where, let's say, part of your consignment came from X and the other part from Y? How was the liability getting shared earlier?
Previously, it was like I will give you the example of Gujarat. Before GST came, e-way bill and GST came, there was some sales tax forms of each and every state. Normally, that form has to fill up by party, and they will give us, and we have to just carry that form to the border. They will check it, and we have to go. In that case, we were not liable for anything.
The pre-GST era of interstate movement of goods was marred by delays and validation of documents at state borders, with companies, transporters and truck drivers speaking of rampant corruption in hushed tones. E-way bills had promised to change this. Vijay Rawal, president of Bombay Goods Transport Association, said things have turned from bad to worse.
जिनको चेक करना है उनको भी नहीं पता पूरा कि क्या चेक करना है. मतलब हो क्या रहा है कि दिस कैन नॉट बी स्टॉप बिकॉज जिन लोगों ने चेकिंग करनी है और जो चेक करवाने वाले हैं उसमें काफ़ी कम्युनिकेशन गैप है. फॉर इंस्टेंस लाइक ट्रक गोइंग फ्रॉम हेयर टू दिल्ली एंड ई-वे बिल इंस्पेक्टर सेज कि भाई ये उसने जो ड्राइवर है उसको तो ई-वे बिल का कुछ ABCD भी नहीं पता. उसने उनको दिया ई-वे बिल कि भाई ये है और उस ई-वे बिल में कुछ गलती है, कुछ भी भले पार्ट ए में या पार्ट बी में है, तो वो कहाँ कॉन्टैक्ट करेगा.
Okay.
देन द सिस्टम ऑफ चेकिंग, पहले तो क्या था कि बैरियर था, बैरियर पे एजेंट थे, कुछ होता था तो वहाँ से आदमी फ़ोन करता था. अब वो डॉक्यूमेंट उसके पास में है और आपको पकड़ा गया है, रात को तो ऑफिस खुला नहीं होता, देन वो नियरेस्ट वहाँ से फ़ोन करेगा. इसके कुछ आवर्स हैं इन्होंने फिक्स किए होंगे, इस आवर के अंदर ही उनको क्लियर करना है. तो अभी तक तो ऐसा कुछ, जो मैं आपको पहले भी बोल रहा हूँ कि ऐसा कोई क्लैरिफिकेशन ही नहीं आया कि हाउ द चेकिंग सिस्टम विल बी देयर.
So every state is following its own checking system.
एंड है क्या कि जो लोगों ने चेकिंग करनी है, मेरे हिसाब से तो दे आर नॉट दी पीपल वो क्या हैं, पुराने सेल टैक्स वाले हैं या एक्साइज वाले हैं, और उनके तो दिमाग में जो है ट्रांसपोर्टर की इमेज वो है ही है, वो तो सबको एक ही निगाह से देखते हैं.